It's Wednesday, the 24th of August, and I am Chris from IELTS Daily. Thank you very much for your patience. I was a little bit late starting today. I had a few things happening around here. It's always very complicated to start these live classes because obviously you guys expect so much, but yet expect so little because it's a free class and I want to deliver as much as possible to you guys and make it as worthwhile as possible because I know that you take an hour out of your day to come along and spend time, and I can see you all writing things in the chat. What do I want to do today? Well, firstly, it is an exciting day because today is class 100. That means that I think it might even be class 101. I think I missed one class. But today it's class 100, which is wonderful. I love the fact that people come back again and again and again. Who is in the class today? I can see a lot of members today, people with green names. So hello to Gurpreet, hello to Baljit, hello to Aidan. Nice to see you all in class today. Hello to Wayne. Great to have you in class, Wayne. We've got a new member, which is Gabrielle. He's a new starter member. And don't forget that if you want to have access to all the historic live videos, all 100 of them, you can become a starter member. And if you want feedback on your essays and feedback on your task 1, you are welcome to become a superstar member. And that gives you access to 2 pieces of feedback every month where me or a colleague would have a look at your writing and give you a detailed score on how you should improve or what you need to do to improve. And that's what I want to do today because we're going to do some IELTS writing. And as always, we will go back to the band descriptors. This is an interesting story because for a long time, I used to do a lot of private work and I'd go and I'd teach students, and very occasionally, still today, because I had a good relationship with students and they seemed to get good scores, I still today, kind of years later, I get phone calls and text messages from people who they'll say, "Oh, hey Chris, I'm just calling you because XYZ person has told me that you're able to give good feedback on writing, or you can give some scores on speaking." And so we still get calls for those people today. I don't tend to do a lot of kind of that work anymore because most of my work involves writing content for IELTS Daily because I want to reach many more people in the world. I want to kind of go global and make it as easy as possible for you guys to pass the test. So what I want to do today is have a look at particularly an essay. We'll have a look at an essay, and then we'll also have a look at a task 1, a bar graph. And this particular person said, it's really difficult for me to get a band 7. I'm looking for a band 7, but I'm consistently getting band 6.5. And that happens a lot. A lot of you will want to get this kind of elusive band 7. And you take the test again and again and again, and you always come out with a band 6.5. And for me, that's really wasted money because if you think that a test costs, I don't know, about $250 every time you take it. And every time you take it, you're coming back with the same scores. Effectively, that's wasting money. So what I want to do is make sure that you pass the first time so that you don't waste your money and that you're able to spend that hard-earned kind of salary or cash or savings on something much more productive, much more useful. So I want to make it as easy as possible for you to pass the test the first time. With that being said, let's have a look at let's see who's in the chat again. I could see a lot of you putting your hands up and saying, hi, it's great to have you on board here. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we say my mock overall was 8, but my writing was 6.5. Sonia, it would be interesting to find out who did your mock because a lot of people don't have well-qualified people to mark your score. We see this a lot, that people go for practice tests, mock tests, and in the training center where they're doing it, and the person who's marking it doesn't really understand this document here. This document is an extremely, extremely important document. you need to be able to understand this document here, which is the band descriptors document. You need to be able to know how to interpret it, what kind of each section means, and I will be talking about that in today's class. Then later we're going to have a bit of a speaking session. We'll come over to this screen here and I will allow you to come into this box and ask me some questions, and I might put you on the spot. Maybe we'll even play a little bit of a game so that you can test your vocabulary if we have time. Good? Does anybody have any questions so far? I don't think we've not done very much, but I'll see if anybody has questions. Let me ask in here. Let's see if anybody's got questions that they may want to ask. Nothing so far. Hello to Avnish. Good to have you as a member here in today's class. Hello to Dylan, another member. Great to have all the members here. And remember, if you do want to become a member, it's not available in some countries, unfortunately. That's not my decision. But you may want to use a VPN if you have trouble registering and signing up. Okay, shall we have a look at today's class? On the screen, you will see the essay question. And the essay question is as follows. Some people think that people are born with leadership skills, while others believe that individuals can learn these skills. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Okay. For me, there is one really important word. Maybe two. What do you think are the most important word or words in this question? Let's go back here and you decide, what do you think is the most important word or words in this particular question? Once you've decided, let me know, pop your ideas in the chat and then we will have a think. Have a look at the question again and you decide what's the most important word or words. Lots of you are putting your ideas in the chat now. I can see your ideas coming through. Mohammed says skill. Mohammed says skill. Kim says leadership skills, and Umesha says leadership. Claudia actually chose 5 words. She said, while discuss both own opinion. Kanti said leaderships and views. Amilite says discuss both. Baljeet says born leader. Pupta says mindset. Pupa, what? I don't think mindset is in the question. I think you've invented that word. You need to make sure that you are only using the words that are in the question. We've got Hunter says skills. Operate says born. Lots of you are coming back with different answers, and this really shows that you haven't been to many of my classes before. So if this is completely new for you, you do need to be able to identify the main information or the main kind of key word from the question that the examiner is looking for you to answer. So for me, the most important word would be the following. Probably born and probably learn. or, even more interestingly, are and can. Let me go again. Can and are. These two words, surprisingly, a lot of you would be surprised by this. These are the words that the examiner, they're kind of modal or auxiliary verbs which are used to modify another verb. So you are born or you are not born with these skills, and you need to decide, are people born with the skills of leadership, or can people learn these skills, or can they not learn these skills? It is so incredibly important when you are writing your response that you are as able as possible in a really clear way to answer the question. Because remember, if we look at the band descriptors, and I shall zoom into these band descriptors, it specifically asks you to address all parts of the task. It asks you to present a clear position throughout the response. Yeah? You need to be able to tell the examiner what your position on this question is. So, are people born with leadership skills, or are they not? Can people learn these skills, or can they not? And it is really vital that you're able to answer those parts of the question. And if you want to get a full kind of band, like band 8 or band 9, you need to be able to answer all parts of the question. It says fully addresses all parts of the task. And in the case of the task at hand, it asks you to discuss both views, that's really important, and you need to give your own opinion. It seems easier than it actually is. And one of the biggest challenges that people face is that you have to do this in 40 minutes. I sympathize with you guys so much. To be able to plan and execute an essay, plan and write an essay in 40 minutes is incredibly difficult. Yeah? And so what we should do is try to break it down and make it a little bit more bite-sized, manageable, and not as complex as you might think. You have to use some complex language, some complex structures, but you don't have to make it too complicated. Let's have a look at the sample answer that's been submitted to me and see why this person is potentially scoring this borderline band 6.5, 6, band 7, and struggling to achieve band 7. It's really common for people to do this. So we'll have a look at this person's response and we'll give some feedback on it. And just by the way, if you do learn something from today's class, the easiest thing that you can do to say thanks is to give this video a like. It really supports and helps me as I do this for free. It's my 100th class. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get some fun and some enjoyment out of it. I try to make classes as user-friendly as possible. I want to make it interactive in 2 ways so that you're able to give your own thoughts and pop your ideas in the chat. I do look at the chat a lot, so make sure you are contributing and putting your ideas in here, and we'll have a look at some of your responses later. So we'll have a look at this person's ideas. I'll just make it a little bit easier to see. Let's read this person's response together. People believe that some of us are born with leadership skills, while others We probably are, while others think that these skills can be learned. Some people inherit leadership skill. There is the first grammatical mistake. If we move in, and I'm just going to highlight this as a grammar mistake. 2 ticks. Let me make this visible for you. Give me a second. I just want to make some notes on the screen so that you can at least see where the mistakes are. So inherit leadership skill. This for me would be a GRA mistake because obviously it should be leadership skills. Yeah? Okay, so it should be leadership skills. If you do singular, that wouldn't be a mistake. That would be a mistake, sorry. From their parents, sorry. Some people inherit leadership skills from their parents, or it is naturally inbuilt for them, or naturally inbuilt. My first question here, and this is an important one that people often overlook. This particular person, if you just give me a second, I'm going to make the text a little bit bigger for you so that you don't have too many problems reading it. Let me just make that a bit bigger so that if you're watching this on your phone, you won't have any issues seeing that. And I suppose my question would be, what is it? You notice how in the question, in the text, the person has said it is, or it is naturally inbuilt. For me, when we look at the band descriptors, there is a specific part of the band descriptors that says, band 6, it says, may not always use referencing clearly or appropriately. And I pull this up all the time for students because referencing is your ability to refer to words. So rather than repeating words, so I often get a lot of homework, and I do my homework when I finish school. So you would normally say, I often get a lot of homework, and I do it when I finish school. And we're using the word it here to refer to homework. And one of the most tricky things for many people is skillfully being able to use referencing, referring to and substituting words so that you're not repeating. And sometimes it works in the opposite way. And I will ask a question, what does it refer to? And in this case, I think this person means leadership skill. But the problem is that leadership skill is grammatically incorrect. So you would have to say, or they are naturally inbuilt for them. And again, if you notice, some people inherit their leadership from their parents, and they, are we talking about, or they, are we talking about parents or skills inbuilt for them? My question would be, who is them? And it just becomes a little bit convoluted, a little bit confusing. I'm struggling to find out what all these referring words are related to. And just a very small number of referencing mistakes can lead to this problem here, because it says may not always. And this word here, always, is critical, because if you think about the word always, that means that from the beginning of your essay to the end, you always use referencing clearly and appropriately. But what about if you make a couple of mistakes? Then you do not always. And in the band descriptors, it does say may not always use referencing clearly or appropriately. And that means that you are automatically limited to a band 6 in your coherence and cohesion, and you cannot get above a band 6 in coherence and cohesion because of this reason. You are stuck in this box here, because if you want to reach a band 7, you have to always use referencing clearly or appropriately. And most people don't actually realize that this is kind of something that the examiner is paying a lot of attention to. Now, do we have to get it 100% right all the time? I'm not sure. Sometimes I give students a little bit of leeway, a little bit of benefit of the doubt, and I'll probably give the benefit of the doubt here because the candidate has made a grammatical mistake and has referenced the incorrect grammar. But I just want to highlight to you, very small errors like this can have big consequences on your score. And again, if you do learn something, thank you very much. Now, let's go to the rest of this. As they are believed to inherit it from their parents. For me, there are too many referencing words. What about saying things like, are believed to inherit these skills from their parents? While others who value education and experience believe that these skills can be learnt gradually. This, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is known, I'm going to put it in bold for now, this is known as a fragmented sentence. Fragmented sentences are when you do not have complete grammatical control over the whole sentence. Starting a sentence with while needs to have 2 clauses in the sentence. Yeah? While my brother is a great artist, comma, I'm not. There are 2 parts to that sentence because starting with while requires you to have, it's a subordinated sentence. There needs to be 2 clauses. There needs to be an independent and a dependent part to this sentence. And starting and just having a simple or single sentence does not create full grammatical control, and therefore it would be a fragmented sentence. And this would be a problem. And one of the main reasons students do this is because they think that they have to include lots of these conjunctions, linking words, all sorts of kind of cohesive devices. And this creates problems down the track because they don't know how to use them properly. Maybe you guys are guilty of doing the same thing. Very commonly, students will try to use these words but don't quite know how to use them properly. So my advice to you is to make things more simple. Don't try to overcomplicate things just yet. When you are entirely sure how to use more complex grammar forms, then go ahead and use them. But if you're using them incorrectly, it's not going to work out for you because this particular sentence is grammatically incorrect, where you just said, while others who value education, it would probably make sense. You would probably just say, others who value education experience believe that these skills can be learnt gradually. That is a grammatically more correct sentence. Does anybody have any questions so far? So what this person has tried to do is to paraphrase the idea of the question. They've tried to take those 2 parts. They've tried to paraphrase the sentences. What I've noticed is that they don't really have any yet position. There's no indication of whether they believe that people are born or not born with these skills. Now, it is not kind of the gold standard. It's not necessary for you to always include your opinion or your position in your introduction. My advice is it's maybe beneficial to simply because if we look at the band descriptors, the band descriptors says presents a clear position throughout the response. And for me, this idea of throughout the response really, really, really is quite important, because unless, if you just put your idea at the end, is that throughout the response? Does that mean from the beginning to the end? I'm not sure. So my advice to you is maybe as part of your thesis statement, if you read any kind of academic paper, they'll always put at the very beginning what the paper is going to do and what the purpose of the paper is and what the author is trying to put forward. So tips for you, maybe include your position at the very beginning. And so that would maybe be a problem here, maybe not, because it is possible to get your position throughout the response within the body paragraphs. So I'm just reserving judgment for now. Let's continue. Most business people who have children mold their next generation into inheriting their businesses and wealth. Now, this is, for me, somewhat problematic. They mold their generation into inheriting their business and wealth. Is this particularly related to skills? The question is about, are people born with skills or are they not born with skills, or can they teach? This candidate is making it a little bit hard for themselves. The topic sentence that I'm going to put in yellow, we call this a topic sentence. Mold their next generation into inheriting their business and wealth. What does inheriting business and wealth have to do with skills? I just don't know. I feel that this topic sentence is not necessarily being as well linked to the question as it could be. Don't try too hard. It is okay for you to be a little bit more direct. Yeah? So the question says, can you learn them or can you not learn the skills? Can you teach or can you not teach? Are you born? Are you not born? Can you learn? Can you teach people skills? Try to stick to those words. Don't copy words and phrases, but try to use ideas around that. By the way, if so far what I'm explaining to you makes sense, in the chat box, maybe you could let me know and just kind of give me a thumbs up in the chat, or a clap, or a smiley face, or something which shows that whatever I'm saying at the moment is clear and makes sense and is not too kind of out there. I want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to be able to follow, to be able to apply these ideas to your own writing, because I know so many of you make these same, I don't want to call them mistakes, but potentially they just don't necessarily, you don't make it easy for yourself. I just want to make it easy for yourself, for you guys. Lots of you at the moment are saying smiley face, happy, wonderful. I'm very glad that you are getting it now. Wonderful. Let's go back and continue with the second part of this. While they are in school or college, they tend, again, this is problematic because referencing and substitution. Who is they and who is there? In the previous sentence, this candidate has mentioned business leaders, or whatever terminology they use. They said most business people and children and next generation. Then they said, while they are in their school or college, they tend. This is just really problematic for me. While they are in their school or college, they tend to attend meetings or witness business dealings with their parents. So, while these young people are in their school or college, becomes immediately easier to follow. Yeah? Because I don't know whether they were talking about the parents or the young people. So right now, I am pretty confident that I am not going to give this person a band 7 for coherence and cohesion. There are just too many problems with referencing and substitution. It makes it quite difficult for me to distinguish and work out who is the person talking about. And so this is really problematic now, because if I score a band 6 in coherence and cohesion, for this person to score an overall band 7, they will have to score 8, 6, 7, 7, or 7, 6, 8, 7. Because we've gone down to a band 6, you will have to go to a band 8 in one of the other components. And the reality is a band 8 is super hard to get. It's really, really, really hard to get in some of those components. So it's not looking very promising, unfortunately, for this particular candidate, but it is highlighting some of the problems that you guys are going to face in the test as well. Let's continue. These situations are naturally observed by these young minds, which are adapted under their administration. I don't know who there is, so I'm going to go back to referencing and substitution. Problematic for there as well. So let's leave a comment there to say coherence and cohesion, referencing and substitution. Yeah? Very, very, very problematic for this person. Mukesh Ambani, who is considered to be India's business tycoon, has indulged his children and given management responsibilities of certain sectors of his empire. One of his sons has been promoted to a CEO position. And this is actually the third time this person has used while. In fact, it might be the fourth time they've used while. You are not expected to use the same vocabulary all the time. While others, like CEO Mr. Sundar Pichai, has been working in the organization for more than 10 years before becoming a CEO. These individuals with experience will have a lot of knowledge and ultimatum. That's an incorrect word. In handling. Ultimatum is not the right vocabulary here. In handling difficult situations and running a company smoothly. How does this paragraph answer the question? I don't think this candidate has really definitively made it clear and easy for us to decide what position is being talked about here. Yeah? I wouldn't use these type of examples that he's given 2 examples of people. I think he could have explained himself in another way, and I think he could have been much, much, much more direct. I don't know if you guys agree, but so far I can see why this person is not getting a band 7. I believe that leadership skills are to be learned. And it is not reliable to have a person with no experience managing any organization. When it comes to small businesses where the risk factor is minimal, people who believe that they are good born with leadership skills are good enough. It is the experience that teaches an individual how to handle difficult situations, he or she will be more respected in his organization, in their organization, because you said she. I'm just looking at this person's work. I'm finding it really difficult to find out whether the person has actually spoken about being born with these skills. Do you see what I mean? I just don't see how this has, in this particular paragraph up here, I just don't think that they've talked about this particular idea is that they are born with. Anyway, let's continue. I conclude that there are people who are born with leadership qualities, but it is very important to have the years of experience learning the operations or tricks in handling complicated situations. People with experience will excel in leadership roles and will always find ways to resolve situations. This is potentially including new information. You should never include new information in your conclusion. Your conclusion is not a place to be including new information. Here's my thought. Task response. I'm going to be pretty strict here and give this person a 6. A 6 for task response because I just don't think that they have really covered all parts of the task. And if I show you the band descriptors here, it says addresses all parts of the task, although some parts may be more fully covered than others. I do think that maybe it's this more fully covered than others when the person didn't really talk about being born with skills. Presents relevant main ideas, but some may be inadequately developed or unclear. Maybe the lack of development of some ideas. Conclusions may become unclear or repetitive. I do think that this is a band 6 for task response. Struggling a bit to really make sure that they've covered all parts of the task. Coherence and cohesion, which was the next part, is definitely band 6. Yeah. Generally, the paragraphing is fine. The information is arranged okay. The big problem is referencing and substitution and maybe an overuse of some connecting words such as while. They use the word while 3 or 4 times. So it's very possible that the examiner would pick up on that. Lexical resource. I do think this is probably the strongest feature of the task and would probably warrant a band 7. There's a sufficient range of vocabulary. There are some less common lexical items. There were some errors in word choice. There was a couple of mistakes, but probably band 7. Grammatical range and accuracy. There were a variety of complex structures. There were frequent error-free sentences, and the control and grammar was okay, not too problematic. I don't think that it would be a band 8 because I don't think the majority of sentences were error-free, and very occasional errors, no. So I'm saying that it's a band 7 here. That means that overall, for me, this would be 6, 6, 7, 7, which would be an overall band 6.5. This is kind of a really, really, really obvious 6.5. There's no chance, I don't think, that this person would score a band 7. Unfortunately, even though I would really like to help them score a band 7, they just didn't quite cover all the things that they should have been doing in their task response. They didn't have a clear position throughout, and they didn't cover all parts of the task, and the referencing wasn't very clear. So making it a little bit more simple would probably be the first thing, and planning the paragraphs with clear topic sentences which relate back to the question. That's probably a critical thing that this person should probably be thinking about. clear. Let's quickly have a look at the person's task 1, and this would be a task 1 for academic. So it's a graph, and let me zoom in just a little bit to make it easier for you guys to read. It says the bar chart shows the percentage of Australian men and women in different age groups who did regular physical activity in 2010. Summarise the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. There are some age categories, 6 age categories, 2 categories of colours, male and female, and there are the percentages listed in each column. For me, let's have a look quickly at what this person would score. It said the bar diagram shows the information of men and women in different age groups who did regular physical activity in 2010. The results show men and women of the age group between 15 and 65 and over who are involved in physical activity. Male, should be males. Males who are teenagers and women who fall between mid-40s and 50s are involved in doing maximum physical activity. This person has not really described the main trends. And for me, the main trend is fairly obvious here. And the main trend is that in every age category, the green line is higher than the blue line. The women do more physical activity than men. I don't think that he's mentioned that. It's only in the youngest age category that the men do more activity, but in all the other categories, women do more activity than men. And that's probably a key feature. That's going to be something that you need to include in your overview of the main trend, so that I don't think that person has picked it up here. The results in the bar diagram for men show that there is a gradual decrease in involvement in physical activity as they grow older and cross their mid-20s. But the results among women were contrasting in comparison to men. Australian women were involved in more physical activity as they were getting older, and women who are older than 65 showed less importance to physical activity. On the other hand, men were slightly showing more importance after the age of 45. The guys picked up something here. There's some trends that are being described, but I don't think that this person has covered all the key features, and this is really important. I don't think that he's organized his ideas in a particularly logical way. It would be the way that I would do this is to write a paragraph about men and a paragraph about women, and within those paragraphs make a couple of comparisons between the two. In this one, he's just mixed everything together, and I don't think that's the most logical way. There is still another paragraph to go. Let's see what he said. It said the results displayed that there was a high level of importance towards physical activity among women. Well, the question wasn't really about a high level of importance. It was more that women just did more physical activity than men. Especially between the age of 25 to 54, there was a high level of importance among women for physical activity, and that's kind of repeating the same idea. I don't know what the purpose of this paragraph was or is. This isn't a band 7, unfortunately, for me. Probably, again, a band 6.5. The person hasn't covered all the key features in the task. I don't think that they have adequately summarized the main trends, which the main trend was that in all the age categories, except the youngest age category, that females were more physically active than males. Organization of ideas. I don't think that they've logically organized the paragraphs. And finally, you do have to give some details of information and what the person has not done here, and they would probably be penalized very significantly, actually, is that there are no data. If you notice in the bar graph, there is a lot of data where it talked about 52.5% or 45.1%. This person has not included any data, and that would be penalized quite significantly. And it is it's a possibility that this person would, in the task achievement, would score a band 5. Possibly, I don't mean to sound kind of, I don't want to sound I don't want to seem like I'm making a big fuss and song and dance about this, but maybe a 4? They haven't given any information. So probably a band 5. And scoring a band 5 means that you would need to score 8 in 2 sections for you to score an overall band 7. This person needs to work really hard on what it like definitively takes to score band 7 overall. It's really, I don't mean this in a patronizing way, but it's really disappointing when somebody works really hard and doesn't quite know the tricks and the tips that the examiner is looking for. And that's why what I want to do today is give you guys the advice and say, don't waste your time writing the same things again and again and again and again and again if you're not going to kind of change anything. Yeah? What do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. Again, the definition of insanity or going crazy or insane is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. You can do the test as many times as you want, writing the same thing again and again and again, and it's crazy if you think that that's going to change. You have to have somebody look at your work and say, these things need to improve, and by making these small changes to your work, you're going to see big differences in the overall outcome of your score. Does that make sense? Is that fairly clear? Is there anything there that doesn't make sense? I hope that has been somewhat fruitful and useful for you guys. Overall, I think this person had pretty good grammar. No major problems really with grammar. I just don't think that they really understood what the examiner is looking for in terms of task achievement, which is are they covering the main trends? Are they giving key features from the task? Good. Putting my headphones in because I want to have a speaking session. We're going to open up the chat room, and remember, there are some rules to the chat room. If you want to come and be part of today's class, you need to do a couple of things. You need to have your sound on. You need to have your video camera on, please. Very important. You need to be in a quiet location, and you need to be prepared to talk about IELTS. Those really are the 4 things. Please make sure that you have your sound on and your video camera on. Make sure you're in a quiet location, and make sure that you are ready to talk about IELTS. Now, last week we had some major technical problems. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that today we're not going to have the same repeat of those problems. So let me pop the chat in here, or the Zoom link, and here is, let's see, I'm going to pin this, and I hope we are going to have a few people drop in, and let's see whether, we've got a few people already in. I'm going to come to the first person and let's see if they are available. Just a second. Okay, we've got somebody. Harsh. Let's have you unmuted. Let's just test this first of all, Harsh, to see if this is working.
Hi, am I audible?
Okay, I can't hear you, but that's okay. I know the students can hear you. Let me just try and fix that now. Don't worry, I think this is my problem. Let me fix this. I know that the students can hear you, which is great, but I can't hear you. Try again. Nope. Let me just go here. 1 second. Keep talking, Harsh. You just muted yourself. Don't mute yourself.
Hello. Yes, can you hear me?
Keep talking because I know that the
Am I
students can
audible?
hear you. It's just that I can't hear you. And that's
Chris, I
not
can hear
your
you. Am I
fault.
audible
That's
to you?
my fault.
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Try again.
Hello.
Nope.
Hello.
Keep
Am I
talking. Don't
audible?
worry. This is not your fault. This is my fault.
Am I audible? Why is Chris not able to hear me then?
I like the fact that you're still talking. If you want to ask the students some questions, and then they should be able to answer. Let me see.
Students are
Why
able to
is
hear me.
this not working? Thank you, Harsh, for being such a wonderful student. I know how frustrating this is, but we will fix it.
Chris, am I audible?
Keep talking.
Chris, can you hear me?
I love the fact that this is. I know the students can hear you because I can see the microphone. It's the thing on my end that's problematic.
Hello. Can you hear me, Chris?
What I'll do, Harsh, I'm going to
Please fix
ask.
this.
I'm
I
going to
want to
ask you a
talk to you.
question. I'm going to ask you a speaking question, and you're going to answer the question. And I won't be able to hear you, but the students will be able to hear you, and you can answer the question like that. Okay. So this question is about speaking part 1, and the question is around singing. Now, my question to you is: are you a good singer?
No, I'm not. And I'm not particularly a fan of singing, though. Though I love listening to music, probably I'm a good bathroom singer when I'm alone, and I have the confidence that nobody's hearing my sore voice. But yeah, overall, I think
Let me know when you've finished, because I definitely can't hear you. Thank you for whatever you said there, Harsh. I'm sure it was a worthwhile answer. Let me see if I can just fix one other thing. I'm going to ask you another question, which is: do you think that singing is something that can be learned or something that you're born with?
key if you're practicing and if you're working on those skills, if you're working on your uh, voice chords and everything, you can certainly be a good singer. It depends how passionate you are and how how
I'm just still trying to fix it. Oh no, that's me. I just made that worse now because now the students can hear me twice. This is all very complicated, isn't it? Keep talking, Harsh.
hello.
Thank
Students,
you
can
very
you
much.
hear me?
My next question, Harsh, is
Hello.
what type of songs do you enjoy listening to?
Well, I listen to typical Indian music. I like listening to Bollywood music, as they call, and I'm a fan of few Western music as well. I like listening to Justin Bieber, Adele, Linkin Park, those old classics, and Brian Adams. Summer of '69 was a cult. But I'm somebody who will listen to music if I'm at a party or if I'm at a hotel or a restaurant, and if I catch it and I like it, I'll probably Google it and try to figure out more. But I'm not a person who will probably install Spotify and go and see the top musics and everything.
Thank you so
I
much.
I am
And let's go with one more question. What type of songs are popular in your country?
India is a big country, and we give importance to all sorts of music from all sorts of cultures and backgrounds. I particularly believe that because of the Western influence and the Netflix and the Hollywood movies, we are more inclined towards the English music, specifically more into classic and pop culture and rap. But I feel that the India is also deeply rooted to their own the own cultures. Like Punjabi music is pretty famous in Punjab. In
Let me
in
just
most of
see
the
if I can
parts
do
we speak.
this somehow. Mm.
Hello, Chris, please do something.
Harsh, what is your?
Only lights are.
You've gone frozen. That's bizarre.
Hello,
Your
hello.
screen has frozen uh, on YouTube. Let me just come and say hi to you on Zoom because I know that you can. You'll be able to hear me in a second. The students will not be able to hear you if I do this. Harsh, hello.
Hello, hello. Hi,
Uh,
Chris.
Wait there.
Yes, hello, Chris.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. The students can't hear you anymore, but I can hear you now. I do. I'm super apologetic about what's just happened. There's a problem. There's a technical problem with the software here. The students the students can hear me talking, but they can't hear you, unfortunately. So I know. I just don't know what's happened. So I'm going to ask you a question, and you can tell me. So okay, let me just. I'll relay the information that you're telling me now. So Harsh has his speaking test tomorrow in the morning, and what score are you aiming for, Harsh? Okay, so you're aiming for above a. I'm just gonna relay this information to the students. So Harsh is aiming for above a band 8 in his speaking. Let's see if we can push him to get above a band 8. I'm going to ask you a question, Harsh, which is: do you live in a noisy environment? I'm going to go back to the students now.
It's not particularly noisy. Occasionally, I suppose. I live in the suburban area of my city, Mumbai, and it's far from the main roads and very close to the green areas of the city. It may be noisy when somebody is celebrating a festival or there's some party organized and there are some friends over, but by and large, it's not particularly noisy, and I'm happy about it.
Thank you. Um, I've I really don't know what the problem is with this damn blooming uh, system today. I am going to say, Harsh, thank you very much for coming along today. I wasn't able to hear much of what you said, but clearly, when I spoke to you, you had a great level of English. We're hoping for above a band 8 tomorrow. Do you promise to come back and let us know what your score is? What your score is? Thank you
Definitely,
so
I'll,
much.
I'll be
You can
back.
talk to the
And
students,
Chris,
and if you had any tips for students who are taking the test soon, what tips would you give to them?
uh, my first advice would be please subscribe to IS Daily and watch all of their speaking videos specifically. The Saskia videos are really helpful and I've learned from it. I've learned from you as well. And to practice as much as possible, specifically writing and probably reading as well, because reading is easy, but reading three passages in 60 minutes, specifically the last passage, is a bit challenging. And listening is also, I mean, listening is scoring. You have to get 35 in listening for that 8 band. And it's not very difficult if you practice speaking daily, and if you communicate with your friends or family in English, and if you are able to understand what the speaker says. But I have a question for you, Chris. I'm specifically nervous about part two, about the cue cards, because I know I just get panic attack when they give me 1 minute to write down my notes, and then I have to speak for 2 minutes. Although I can talk naturally for hours, you give me any topic. If I know you, if you're my friend, I can talk to you for minutes. But then, how do I tackle this? The cue card question.
I'm going to jump in there. Sorry, Harsh. I just want to say a big
Hello.
thank you to you. I've been sitting here watching your mouth go, and I'm looking at the volume bar on the screen, which I can see. I can see when you're talking, but I can't hear anything that you're saying. You could be telling the students some of the worst advice that's ever been told, and I would have no idea. So I'm sure you haven't been giving them. I'm sure you've been giving them excellent advice. So thank you very much for coming along. We wish you the very best in your test tomorrow. It's going to be calm, be relaxed, don't worry about it, just talk naturally. Thank you for coming along, and thank you to everybody who was part of the class today. And I do sincerely apologise again for the technical problems that we had. How very unprofessional of me, eh? I hope you learned some things today from the writing session that we had. We looked at what would be maybe considered a band 6.5, specifically focusing on what that candidate didn't manage to achieve for a band 7, and I hope that was pretty useful for you guys as well. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Class 100 and still we have technical problems. Thank you to Harsh, and thank you to the people who waited patiently in the waiting room. I apologise that I couldn't get to see you. I'm back next week, as always, Wednesday, same time, same place. It is, I'll come and say goodbye to you, and I do apologise again. Let's see if you guys are in the chat, ready and waiting. My chat has disappeared. There we go. We're back. Hello to all of you. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for being wonderful people. Somebody says, what's Harsh's score? I actually do not know, because I couldn't hear anything that he was saying. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for all your kind words. And apparently he was asking me some advice on his cue card. The best advice for me is to just be relaxed and talk to the examiner like you're talking to a friend or somebody whom you know. Well done to you all for coming along and putting in the hard effort. It always, always, always is a pleasure. Remember, small steps will take you to the place that you want to go. So little steps of learning English every day, paying attention, doing something that you enjoy. Never do something which is something that's boring or that you don't enjoy. For now, see you next Wednesday. Bye for now.